first we'll take one simple problem and then we'll move forward. Suppose this is the feeder. Here we have two relays. This is relay R2 and this is relay R1. Okay. And there is a fault in the line, short circuit. So whose fault current is 3750 ampere. 3750 ampere. The CT ratios, and this is relay R1. That means these CTs are connected to a relay. This is relay R1 and this is relay R2. The CT ratio is 500/5 ampere. Here also 500/5 ampere. Understand? Here the current setting of this relay is 125% and time multiplier setting is 0.3. Okay. So here the current setting of relay 2 is 150%. 150%. And I don't know the TMS setting which I have to compute. Okay. But the time discrimination between these two relays, I need to achieve a time discrimination between these two relays as 0.6 seconds. 0.6 seconds. Calculate the time multiplier setting of relay R2 such that there is a time discrimination of 0.6 second between the operation of relay R1 and R2. That is the question. TMS, time multiplier setting of relay R2, relay 1 and relay 2. Okay. The curve is given in the second slide, the same curve which we have used yesterday. Okay. Now, what is the protection scheme we are using? We are using a time graded protection where first who should clear the fault? Relay R1 should clear the fault. Suppose if relay R1 fails, then after 0.6 seconds, the relay R2 should clear the fault. That is the time discrimination philosophy which we have implemented in this. Now, he is asking you to calculate the TMS value such that this system is intact. That means first relay R1 should operate. If relay fails because of some reason, after the operating time of relay R1, there should be a lag of 0.6 seconds. After 0.6 seconds, relay R2 should operate. That is the question. Okay. So first, how you have to approach? First, to calculate the operating time of relay R1. First objective is to calculate the operating time of relay R1. Step 1. Calculation of relay operating time. Operating time of R1. So calculate relay operating time, what we require? First you should know the PSM value, plug setting multiplier. So first, what is the primary fault current? Primary fault current is 3750. So what is the secondary fault current? What is the current that flows through the relay? Fault current flowing through relay R1. So how you have to compute this value? Primary fault current divided by CT ratio. 3750 divided by what is the CT ratio? 500/5, that is 100. So how much current will flow? 37.5 ampere will flow through the relay. Understand? Now, how you can calculate the PSM value? Plug setting multiplier is equals to, what is the formula? Fault current through relay divided by pickup current of relay. Pickup current of relay. Understand? So here, what is the pickup current of relay? Pickup current of relay is IP, pickup current equal to current setting multiplied by rated CT secondary current. Everything we have discussed yesterday. So current setting is how much for the first relay? 125%, and rated secondary CT current is 5 ampere. Okay, rated secondary CT current is 5 ampere. Current setting is 125%. So this value will become 1.25 into 5. That is how much? 6.25 ampere. 6.25 ampere. So if you substitute this value, plug setting multiplier for the first relay is 37.5 divided by 6.25. What is the value? Is 6. So now from the curve, if your plug setting multiplier value is 6, what is the operating time from the curve? For 6, what is the value? Approximately we can take it as, when PSM equal to 6, the operating time we are approximately taking as 4 seconds. So curve operating time is how much? 4 seconds. But what is the TMS setting of the relay? 0.3. So actual operating time of relay R1, actual operating time of relay R1 is equals to how much? Relay R1 is time multiplier setting TMS into time multiplier setting into 4, that is 0.3 into 4. I hope you are getting the value. 0.3 is this one, into 4 is how much? 1.2 seconds. 1.2 seconds is the operating time of relay R1. Understood? So now that is the one half of the question, but he's telling that there should be 0.6 second discrimination. Then can anybody tell me, for this fault, what should be the operating time of relay R2? What should be the operating time of relay R2? Here relay 1 operating time is 1.2 seconds. So if that relay does not have operate within its 1.2 seconds, then it should wait for further 0.6 seconds. Further 0.6 seconds, and then it should operate. So what should be the operating time of relay R2?
1.8.
1.8. So relay R2 operating time, actual operating time is how much? Actual operating time is 1.2 seconds plus 0.6 seconds. This value is 1.8 seconds. 1.8 seconds. Okay. So we have to design such that its operating time is 1.8 seconds. But here from the curve, depending upon its current setting value, will get some time, and to get that 1.2 will multiply with the time setting multiplier. Okay. So what is the plug setting multiplier? What is the plug setting multiplier for relay R2? Again, the fault current through relay is same because both CTs are having same ratio. The fault current through relay R1 and R2 are same. Why? Because the same fault current is flowing through the CTs. So this value is 37.5. Now what is the pickup current of relay R2? There is a difference because here current setting is 150%. So 150% into 150% of 5 ampere will become how much? 7.5. I'm directly writing the values. So 37.5 divided by 7.5 is how much? It is 5. It is fluctuating multiplier of relay R2 is 5. So if you approximately go for it, for a value of 5, if you interpolate and calculate, this value is somewhere around 4.5 seconds. 4.5 seconds. So for a PSM of 5, curve operating time is, let us say, 4.5 seconds. 4.5 seconds. But what is our desired operating time? 1.8 second. So what should be the TMS value? So TMS value for R2. So TMS value is actual operating time divided by operating time from the characteristic curve. So this ratio will become the 0.4. Okay. So if you keep the TMS setting of 0.4 for relay R2, you are going to get the 0.6 second discrimination between relay R1 and relay R2. So the next concept is sensitivity of the relay. Sensitivity of the relay. So ideally, if you understand, have you studied measurements? If you have studied measurements, ammeter is connected in series, just like our CT. Okay. Voltmeter is connected in parallel. Okay. So what is an ideal ammeter does? An ideal ammeter will not change the current. It only measures the current, will not try to change the current flowing in the circuit. For that, it should have zero series impedance. Zero series impedance. Understand? Ammeter should have zero series impedance. Likewise, the voltmeter should only measure the voltage, but it should not disturb the circuit. For that, the voltmeter should have infinite impedance, infinite parallel impedance. Understand? Even in this protection circuits also, ideally the CT secondary, the secondary of the CT, it means if I draw, this is the CT secondary should have zero impedance ideally. And similarly, if you see the PT secondary should offer infinite impedance, okay. Ideally, relay should have zero impedance to the secondary of CT. That means the relay, because this is connected to a relay, the secondary of CT is connected to relay, and the secondary of PT is also connected to a relay or voltmeter. So ideally, the relay to which the CT and PT are connected, okay, the relay should offer zero impedance to the secondary of CT and infinite impedance to the secondary of PT. But practically, this doesn't happen. Practically, relay offers a very small impedance to the secondary of CT, a small impedance to the secondary of CT, and a large impedance to the secondary of PT, Okay. So this impedance, we call it as loading or burden caused by the relay on the secondaries of PT and CT. Understand? So this we call as a loading or burden caused by the relay on the secondaries of CT or PT. It is not measured in ohm, but it is measured in volt ampere. It is not measured in ohm, it is measured in volt amperes. Understand? Just for your understanding, so this is a CT and it is connected to a relay. It is connected to a relay. Okay. So relay should ideally offer zero impedance, but however it is not possible. Let us assume it is offering some very small impedance. Very small impedance, say 2 ohms. It is offering an impedance of say 2 ohm. Now let us assume it is 100 bar 1 ampere CT, 100 bar 1 ampere CT, and the line is carrying 100 ampere current. The line is carrying 100 ampere current. When 100 ampere current flows through the primary, the secondary current will be how much? The secondary current will be 1 ampere. The secondary current is 1 ampere. So this 1 ampere will flow through the relay. This 1 ampere will flow in this fashion. So now, what is the voltage drop across this 2 ohm resistor? Voltage across 2 ohm resistor is how much? 2 ohm multiplied by 1 ampere, that is 2 volt.
2 volt.
Okay. What is the current through the relay? Current through 2 ohm resistor? How much? 1 ampere. So if you multiply this voltage drop and the current, the volt ampere, the burden of the relay, how much burden is the relay offering to the CT is given by the product of this voltage and this current, that is 2 into 1 volt amperes, that is 2 VA. 2 VA. Understand? This is called burden of the relay. Suppose if it is here, the resistance value is not 2 ohm. Let us say it is 5 ohm. 5 ohm. Now calculate and tell me what is the burden for the 5 ohm resistance. Then what would be the burden? How much current will flow? Same 1 ampere will flow. What is the voltage?
5 volt ampere.
5 volt ampere. 5 volt ampere. Understand? So this is how you calculate the burden of CT, and likewise for exactly in the same wise you will get the PT burden also. You have to measure the voltage across the PT and the small current, because it is a very high resistance in the range of mega ohm. So very small current will flow. If you multiply the voltage and current that is flowing through the secondary of PT, then you will get the burden of PT also. Understand? So always the burden of the relay is expressed as in terms of volt amperes. The important point is lesser is the burden, greater is the sensitivity of the relay. Lesser is the burden, greater is the sensitivity of the relay. Understand? That is about the sensitivity of relay. Next article is types of overcurrent relays based on time current characteristics. Okay. So what is the operating characteristics of overcurrent relay? We have already seen the operating characteristics of overcurrent relay is the curve between the x-axis is a what? Fluctuating multiplier. Y-axis is operating time, usually its value in the seconds. So the operating characteristics of overcurrent curve is a curve between the operating time versus the fluctuating multiplier. Okay. Now, the first one is the instantaneous overcurrent relay. Instantaneous overcurrent relay. Here, the relay operates instantaneously once the fault current exceeds pickup value. Fault current exceeds the pickup value. So again, it is a curve here. If this is fluctuating multiplier and this is the time, this is the time. So if this value is, this value I am writing 1. Sir, why you are writing 1 here? So relay will not operate for PSM values less than or equal to 1. We have already seen it. That means it is when PSM equal to 1, that means the relay is carrying the pickup current. For pickup current, it will not trip. For any current above pickup value, it will trip. So once it crosses pickup value, immediately it will trip. Immediately, there is no time lag. Immediately it will trip. So the operating time is minimum for the instantaneous relay. Operating time is minimum for the instantaneous relay. Okay. So the relay operates instantaneously without any time lag if the fault current exceeds the pickup value. Okay. The only criterion is it should exceed the pickup value. Suppose let us say pickup value is 5 ampere. Even at 5.1 ampere, immediately it will trip. It will not have any time lag. 1000 ampere also it will immediately trip. So the only criterion is the current through the relay should exceed the pickup value, instantaneously it will trip. Okay. So there is no intentional time lag that is provided. No intentional time lag is provided. The TMS feature is not provided for instantaneous relays. The time multiplier setting feature is not provided for the instantaneous overcurrent relays. Okay. Operating time, very, very important point. Operating time for instantaneous overcurrent relays is less than or equal to 0.1 second. They will operate within 0.1 second, the instantaneous relays will operate. So operating time is independent of fault current, because fault current magnitude does not affect. It should exceed the pickup value. That is the criteria. So mainly the instantaneous tripping or instantaneous overcurrent relays are used for earth fault protection, because human life will be in danger. So for earth fault protections, we use instantaneous overcurrent relays where there should not be any time lag. Immediately it should trip. That is the criteria. Understand? So again, if you have confusion, I am writing relay operates, any relay, any overcurrent relay operates if PSM plug setting multiplier is greater than 1. Relay will not operate. Relay will not operate if PSM value is less than or equal to 1. Okay. So one intelligent question is that what is the operating time of overcurrent relay when PSM equal to 1? Anyone? What is the operating time of overcurrent relay when PSM equal to 1?
It will not operate.
Infinite.
Infinite.
Infinite. Understand? So I hope you have understood the instantaneous overcurrent relays. Can I move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next type of relays are called definite minimum time overcurrent relays. In short form, we call them as DMT relays. Definite minimum time overcurrent relays. Okay. So here the operating time is constant. Again, it is a curve between PSM versus operating time. The relay will not operate when PSM is equals to 1. Okay. So here what happens? The operating time is constant throughout the working range. The operating time is constant throughout the working range. Okay. That means suppose pickup current is 10 ampere for this particular relay. Okay. For pickup current equals to 11 ampere also, it will take its own sweet time. For pickup, if that means if the relay current, if relay current is 11 ampere, it is above pickup value, so it should trip. The operating time is, let us say, 10 seconds. It will operate in 10 seconds. Even if relay current is 1000 ampere, that means the fault severity is very high. even then it's take the same constant time to trip. Same constant time to trip. Understand? That is a definite minimum time relay. That means it maintains a constant time, even though the fault is severe or less severe, medium severe, it maintains the same time for its operation. That is the definite time gap it maintains. Here you can observe PSM equal to 1 means the relay is on the verge of operation. So PSM equal to 2 means the fault current is 2 times the pickup current. That is the meaning, right? PSM equal to 3 means the fault current is 3 times the triple of the pickup current. PSM equal to 10 means what? The fault current is 10 times the pickup current. So as PSM increases, the severity of fault increases. Yes or no? So for severe faults, ideally what you should expect? You expect the severe fault should be cleared faster. If the fault severity is more, we should clear it very quickly so that the damage of our equipment and system is less. But however, DMT relay will take its own sweet time, irrespective of the intensity or the severity of the fault. Okay. The second thing is here we can adjust this minimum time also by using the TMS setting. Okay. Suppose this gap is, say, 10 seconds, and TMS setting, let us assume it is 0.5. For TMS setting of 0.5, operating time is 10. We can even have a different TMS setting. That means, so for TMS equal to 1, the operating time will become 20 seconds. So likewise, by increasing or decreasing the TMS value, you can change that constant minimum time. So for example, if the TMS equals to 0.25, then operating time will become 5 seconds. So here the TMS feature is there. With that, you can keep on adjusting your minimum time. So I have drawn the 3 TMS setting curves. Okay. So where we can use this DMT release for the overcurrent protection of small rating machines like small generators, small induction motors like that. We can use it for the where the fast clearance is not required. There you can use for the overcurrent protection of small rating motors and generators. Have you understood this, gentlemen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The third type of relays are inverse definite minimum time relays. In short, they are called IDMT, inverse definite minimum time relays. So here the operation of this relay is such that initially, let us say it is PSM equal to 1. Once this current exceeds pickup value, so for initial range of say up to PSM equal to 5, this is say 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. The operating time is inversely proportional to the PSM value. That means as PSM value increases, what you can notice, the operating time is reduced. That should be the characteristics of any overcurrent curve. That means PSM value is increasing means what? The severity of fault is increasing. As the severity of fault increases, the relay should take minimum time to operate. So initially up to say 4 or 5 PSM, it maintains the inverse characteristics. Then what happens? Again, after that fixed values, then again it maintains a constant time. It maintains a minimum time. So for very high fault currents, there is no inverse characteristics. It maintains a constant time. So that's why it's called inverse, but it takes some small definite minimum time to clear the fault. That is why it's called IDMT relay. Operating time is inversely proportional to fault current initially. Initially, operating time is inversely proportional to fault current. But for higher values of fault current, the operating time is constant. The operating time is constant. Okay. Here, this definite minimum time feature can also be adjusted by using TMS setting. It can also be adjusted by using TMS setting. So if I draw one more character, okay. If TMS here is say 0.2, here TMS value is 0.4 and 0.6. TMS equals to 0.4. Here TMS is equals to 0.6. So by that adjusting the TMS feature, you can change the definite minimum time it takes. Okay. Here this is DMT, here it is DMT, here it is DMT. Okay. For your understanding, I am writing it as 2 seconds. Let us say this is 4 and this one is 6. Okay. So here the TMS feature is there with which we can adjust that definite minimum time. So where we use this IDMT relays are mainly used for the overcurrent protection of short length transmission lines or feeders. Short length feeders. So in inverse, what will happen? The curve will have inverse range for more. Suppose initially we have seen in the IDMT, after PSM equal to 5 or 6, the operating time became constant. Here, this operating time will become constant at very higher PSM. So it is becoming almost constant at this point where PSM is say 12 or 15. That means the inverse operation is extended for more fault current. Understand? What is the extreme inverse relay? Extreme inverse relay is y is equals to 1 by x curve. Exact inverse hyperbola. If you can plot exact inverse hyperbola, that is called extreme inverse relay. That means once after crossing the pickup value, if your curve shows it is just maintaining that inverse going on. So this will become extreme inverse. Extreme inverse relay has, what is the curve 1 by x is called inverse hyperbola. Exact inverse hyperbola. If your overcurrent characteristics are exactly inverse hyperbola, then it's called extreme inverse overcurrent relay. So this is normal inverse, one is extreme inverse. Understand? So here in all these, what you can observe, what is the difference here is that to get the exact inverse characteristics to enhance the range of inverse operation of overcurrent relay, you have to delay the core saturation. So to get more inverse characteristics, in overcurrent relay, one has to delay core saturation, CT core saturation. How we can delay the core saturation? Make the CT core with less magnetic permeable material. How this can be achieved? By making CT core with less magnetic permeable material. Understand? So in instantaneous overcurrent relay, how to construct an instantaneous overcurrent relay? The CT core, in this case CT core saturates immediately if CT current exceeds pickup value, exceeds pickup current. So this is how you have to construct a instantaneous overcurrent. That means once the current through the secondary of CT exceeds the pickup value, immediately the core saturation should happen. Then the operating time will be same, whatever may be the current. Okay. Same is the case for DMT relays. Okay. So whereas in this IDMT inverse and extreme inverse, you are delaying the core saturation. You are delaying the core saturation to get more inverse characteristics. Understand? So if we club all of them, the characteristics will be like this: DMT, IT, very inverse and extreme inverse characteristics. So this is a PSM value, plug setting multiplier. This is operating time in seconds. Okay. Characteristics of various overcurrent relay. Here, instantaneous is not shown because instantaneous value is somewhere constant, that is 0.1 seconds, which is constant. Once it crosses the PSM equal to 1, the instantaneous value is somewhere around 0.1 second. 0.1 second. So whatever may be the fault current, its operating time is less than or equal to 0.1 seconds. This is instantaneous from here, sorry. Okay. Operating time of the relay. So what is the first relay? Instantaneous overcurrent relay. For instantaneous overcurrent relay, what is the operating time? It is less than or equal to 0.1 second. Less than or equal to 0.1 second. For a definite minimum time relay, for a DMT overcurrent relay, what is the operating time? Is a constant. Let the constant operating time is K value multiplied by TMS. That means K seconds. Operating time is K seconds for TMS equals to 1. Operating time of the DMT relay is K seconds for TMS equal to 1. So since there is a provision to change TMS value, if you change the TMS value, then the constant operating time of definite minimum time relay is K into TMS. Okay. Next is IDMT overcurrent relay. So in IDMT overcurrent relay, you have both feature. You can adjust the plug setting multiplier and TMS. So its operating time is 0.14 into TMS divided by PSM to the power of 0.02 minus 1. So if you know the TMS value and the PSM value of IDMT relay, you can directly tell the operating time by using this formula. It is not designed by anyone. It is an IEEE standard formula. Okay. So 0.14 into TMS setting value divided by PSM to the power of 0.02 minus 1. So many seconds. So for a very inverse relay, this value will become 13.5 into TMS, 13.5 multiplied by TMS into PSM minus 1, into PSM minus 1. Okay, 13.5. For extreme inverse relay, the operating time is 80 into TMS divided by PSM square plug setting multiplied square minus 1. Okay. 80 into TMS divided by PSM square minus 1. These are the operating time for the various overcurrent relays which we have discussed so far. Okay. So where we use this overcurrent relays are used, non-directional overcurrent relays are used for overcurrent protection of generators, distributors, motors, transformers, and short length feeders. Short length feeders or transmission, short length feeders. So these overcurrent relays are used for overcurrent protection of generators, distributors, motors, transformers, and short length feeders. Okay. The next topic is reach of the relay. Reach of the relay. The distance or length of the feeder that relay should protect. So what is the reach of the relay? The distance or the length of the feeder, or you can say line, transmission line conductor that relay should protect is called reach of the relay. For example, we have already seen different zones of protection. If suppose this is one transmission zone and here two relays are there, I am using X symbol to denote the relays. So what is the reach of this relay R1 and R2, let us say? So this total length is say 20 kilometers. The length of this feeder is say 20 kilometers. R1 is connected at the beginning of this feeder and R2 is connected at the end of the feeder. Now, if someone asks what is the reach of R1, R1 should be able to protect any fault that occurs from the location of R1 to this one. So this is the reach of R1. Understand? So if someone asks what is the reach of R2, reach of R2 is from the location of R2 to this end. This is reach of R2. Understand? Are you able to follow? Okay. Now, suppose fault occurs at this point, very close to R2 here. Somehow this relay R1 is not able to sense that fault or clear that fault. Relay R1 is not able to sense and clear the fault. Relay R1 is having underreach problem. Then relay R1 is having underreach problem. It is not able to fulfill its complete reach. Okay. Are able to follow? If the relay fails to operate for the faults within its zone, if the relay fails to operate for the faults within its zone or reach, then it has underreach problem. Okay. Similarly, let us assume there is one more adjacent feeder. For protection of these adjacent feeders, we are having two more relays. One is R3 and R4. Okay. Now, if fault occurs very close to R3, if my relay R2 trips, if relay R2 trips before R3, then R2 is having overreach problem. R2 is having overreach problem. Understand? So this is the meaning of reach, underreach, and overreach. So point is, if relay fails to operate for faults within its zone or reach, then it has under reach problem. That is the first point. What is the second point? If relay operates for the faults outside its zone before their primary protection, then it has overreach problem. Understood?